All right, back to work. You know I couldn't stay away that long, right? Could I? It's back to work tonight. Hope you guys had a great week last week. Hope you had a fantastic first day of the week here. Boy, we've got 2 weeks left of the summertime season. The countdown is on until Labor Day weekend next week, and we get some money to make these next few weeks. It is good to be back here with you all here this evening. We have a lot to catch up with. We got a bear market on our hands right now. We get some big news coming out this week. And boy, I have some great trades we're tracking for tomorrow. And I'm going to cover my favorite trades in the video here tonight that we have a game plan to make some money on Tuesday. Before we jump in, though, and get this party going tonight, I'm excited to get back with you guys. Before we jump in, though, make sure you subscribe to our channel that we don't miss tomorrow night's video. And if you like these videos tonight, do me a favor. Will you hit that like button for me and give me a shout out, give me a holler down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for tuning in, supporting the YouTube channel. But enough of the intro. Let's get this game going. It's great to be back on the horse riding with you guys here. Where are the best trades setting up here for tomorrow? Well, starting off on the 60-minute time frames, I like to use the 60-minute, the hourly charts, to help me plan the best locations and the best strategy for the following day. Later on in the video tonight, I'm going to drill down to some faster time frames, some tick charts. Tick charts will make it easier to plan the best entry timing. So we're going to put our game plan together here first on the 60-minute, give us a general idea, and we'll drill down later on, and we'll talk about specific entry timing to time the perfect entries tomorrow morning in our trade room. We finished the week last week with some very strong runs down on the 60-minute, right? Remember, anytime we see a real strong move in one direction like this, we expect a pullback and a retest, in this case, of that low. So both the S&P and the Nasdaq have these very strong runs down that we saw last week. And we have to assume that this bounce we're seeing right now, which is pretty bullish, right? We'll show more about this in a moment. It's a pretty bullish bounce right now. There's no doubt the buyers have control in the short term, but it certainly does look like we're running into some great locations here right now. Resistance levels overhead for some shorts back down again. So the key component on, at least for now, is a strong bear move down. We're looking for ways to short these bounces, and ultimately there's a big bullseye right now, right back at that low at 43.50 on the S&P and that low at 14,609 and a quarter on the Nasdaq. So that is the bigger picture. Looking for shorts here right now on the S&P and Nasdaq. Now, before I drill down and talk about how to time the best entries, because the entries on this might not be as easy as we'd like, because again, that's pretty bullish. If you saw today, those are pretty bull markets going higher here today. Before we jump in and talk about the entry timing, which is a very important part of this for tomorrow, let's just make sure we check our news schedule, because there is some news you want to be aware of here for the week. There really isn't a lot for us to worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow, pretty much, existing home sales number at 10 o'clock Eastern time is certainly going to be on my radar. Remember, anytime you have news at 10 a.m., you want to pay attention. Anytime you have news at 10 a.m., you want to pay attention. So that will definitely be on our radar for tomorrow. Later on in the week, we got Jerome Powell speaking on Friday as part of that 2-day Jackson Hole Symposium. And let's not forget, we have NVIDIA earnings coming out on Wednesday evening as well. So we might be in late August. We might be in the slowest time of the year for the summertime season. But we've got some big potential fireworks with NVIDIA. Remember that NVIDIA earnings we saw 3 months ago is what really sparked that huge bull rally. So I'll bet everyone's waiting to hear what they have to say on Wednesday. So big news for tomorrow, home sales at 10. And again, we got a lot more to talk about later on this week. So don't go to the beach on me here this week. Stick along with us here on the YouTube videos. Now, back to our charts though. It's good to know when the news is, but we make our money trading off the charts. Now, let's go over my favorite trades, time the entries here on the tick charts. Let's go Emini SPY first. We'll jump down to the to the Nasdaq and the QQQs as we go deeper into the video. We talked about on the 60-minute, right? Strong run down, beautiful spot right here to be short in this thing, back to retest the low. That's the big picture strategy right now. Now let's drill down to a tick chart. This is a 7,000 tick chart. You can see all the time frames in the upper left-hand corner. And if you're watching for the first time here right now, that is the 21 EMA, the exponential moving average that we know what you're looking at. Tick charts make everything easier. So if you want my opinion, get your hands on some tick charts. They make entries easier, support and resistance easier. Everything's easier on tick charts. Now, there are two very important components when I look at this chart. The first one is kind of the day type, as we call it in our free trading classes. It's basically a bull market into a trading range, and then we have this what we call rotation off the low. We've rotated off that low, and we have what is obviously a very strong run higher here. This is a very bullish clue right now. The buyers, of course, would love to complete what we call a pendulum swing. The amount we go below the range can now project above the range. So the buyers definitely have momentum at their back right now. That is a very important first clue, and it's kind of the most important clue that we get off the 7,000 tick chart. But think about put this in context though, right? The 60-minute chart, this is not a bull market. This is not a bull market, at least not yet, right? Who knows? It may change tomorrow. I don't know. Nobody knows, right? But right now we're a bear market. So what do you think? This would be a pretty difficult place to be a buyer right now, right? We're way high up. Well, we're not that high up, but we're into resistance, right, above a trading range. The challenge, though, is momentum. Momentum is a big challenge because when you're trying to short a market like this and you have all of this momentum, it's very difficult to pick the top, right? Trying to pick tops in a bullish move like this can be very, very difficult. Now, whenever I see a situation like this where we have a lot of bullish short-term momentum, but a lot of bearish long-term momentum, there's one pattern that comes to mind. I call it a crown reversal pattern. If you're taking my free trading classes right now, I teach these two entry patterns, right? One's called a failure and one's called a trap. You know me, I love traps. I love them both, right? Traps, though, are my favorite. If you were to combine a failure pattern with a trap pattern, again, you guys are learning this in the free trading course, you get what's called a crown reversal. So let's walk through this. Lot of bullish momentum. Anytime we see a strong move like this, we have to expect what? A pullback and a retest of that level. Just like we talked about, the bears having a strong move down on the 60-minute. So we have the same likelihood of the market trying to go higher. So if we're anticipating these buyers are trying to keep this going higher, but I want to be a seller, the best way for me to short this is to let these buyers try twice, right? Give them the benefit of doubt, and this is where we incorporate, again, those two setups, right? So first of all, we'll let the buyers try twice. That is part of the failure pattern, right? You guys are learning in the free trading course. But here's the deal. I don't want to sell low. I want to sell high, right? I have to sell high because we have all this momentum, and I want to sell as high as I can. Again, we're at resistance on the 60-minute. So this is where we get the bull trap, right? The bull trap. Now, a lot of people still don't learn this pattern correctly. It's very, very specific. Now, watch how I draw it. It's a lower low in price. Buyers buy once, buyers buy twice, and a bull trap above the high. It's a lower low in price and a bull trap or a trap high or move just above that high. And as I talk about in the free trading course, I want to get that signal, right? That short signal to close convincingly strong below that 21 EMA. That's the one pattern that comes to mind in a situation like this. Now, sometimes there are variations of this, okay? Just keep in mind. For example, we may get knocked back down here and really start running lower like this. We may not get that crown reversal. Again, we're overall bearish on the 60-minute. When that happens, all we do is we keep looking for some way to jump in on a bull trap. Oftentimes what I'll do is I'll grab a trend line off the lows, I'll bring it up around the high, right? and I look for what I call a hidden channel coming off of those lows. And again, we're looking for that bull trap, that trap setup. I teach all this again in the free trading course, which reminds me, if you haven't taken the free classes yet and learned crown reversals, failures, trap setups like this, what I'll do is I'll put a link up here for you in the upper right hand corner. Grab that link that popped up. If you're not making consistent money right now, take that free trading course. The markets are way too good not to be doing well in these markets right now. The strategy that I teach in that short video series will teach you a simple trick that we use every morning in our trade room to know exactly where the best winning trades are going to be each day. And most importantly, I will teach you my 4 favorite entry patterns as part of that free video series. That way you can start making money on your own and get ready to trade with us someday soon in the morning trade room. If you're not making the consistent money you want right now, definitely grab that link. And what I'll do is I'll put all the important links down the description of the YouTube video. So if you guys can't grab that link up there, I'll put all the good stuff down in the description there as well. So the way that you want to short this, and again, there could be some variations of this. We may keep on going higher, right? Complete that pendulum. But again, my goal will be to trap these buyers in, let them try once, let them try twice. And again, it may be a beautiful crown reversal like that, right? For that short back down. It may also be a run up and like a V-top. Sometimes they'll run up and then just get crushed and start running back down again. What I'll do is mark that low, mark that high, start looking left and finding swings and looking for those bull traps on the way on the way back down, back into this range here. Now, I also think there's probably some money to make here on the buy side down here. Later on in this video, I want to talk about a buy it down here because there's a range right here. So later on in the video, I do want to talk about the buy side on this because there's a lot of potential here to scoop some shorts off the high, right? And then roll it all the way down and buy off that low. Now, it's an overall bear market, so we're going to time the entries there properly. We'll talk about that as we go. Now, I'm sure some of you guys are wondering, well, this is a really strong move higher, right? So could I buy the pullback right now? This would not be my favorite trade for tomorrow because we're so bearish overall. But how would you buy this? How would you buy right now? Well, what's the problem? Remember, there's always a problem. There's always some hurdle. Okay, if you don't see the problem, you're just not seeing it yet. There's always a problem. It's always either momentum or location. So right now, this is the idea here to be a buyer is a great idea here because it's very bullish, right? And again, we see a strong move like this, we should try to retest that high here. There could easily be some money to make on the pullback right now, but what's the problem? The problem is overall momentum and location on that 60-minute chart, right? So if I want to be a buyer right now, who do I have to compete against? The sellers. We have to assume the bears are coming in and trying to whack this thing back down again because it's an overall bear market. So if I want to be a buyer right now, think about that same entry pattern. Right? Think about that crown reversal. This is the exact same pattern, believe it or not, we're going to use here to be a buyer. Again, not my favorite trade, but I'm sure some of you guys are wondering, how would you buy this? Well, remember, if I'm worried about sellers coming in, and you should be worried about bears coming in here until something changes here on the 60-minute. If I'm worried about the bears here, let's let those bears try a couple times. And then remember, I want to buy. You have to be buying if you're buying right now, you have to be buying as low as possible. Why? Because as we go higher, who's up here in a bear market? The bears are, right? We do not want to buy high here. Again, I do think there's money to make buying nice and low down there. And we'll talk about that a bit later on here in the video. To be a buyer right now, though, you're buying relatively high up right now. I need to buy as low as I can. This is exactly where we rope together those failures and those trap patterns. Remember, think about this. Bears try once, bears try twice. Notice this is 2 tries, and they're higher highs. Remember, sellers want to sell high. Okay, they don't sell low, they sell high. So as we pull back, they try once. We go higher, they try again. Okay, now think about this. All their stops, right? All their pain, all their stops are right there. So now what we need now is some signal. And that's where the signal comes in off that trap, right? That trap set up right below that low. All right. That again, I call it a crown reversal pattern. It's simply a 2-try failure with a bear trap entry to make sure I'm buying as low as I possibly can. To short this, we go up, buyers try once, buyers try twice. Again, all of their stops now are hanging right below that low. All we need now is to get that nice juicy signal that we need, and we can sell right into those stops. Buyers want to buy low to lower lows, and the bull trap allows you to sell as high as you can. So boy, crown reversals are kind of the name of the game right now on both sides of this market. The only variable right now is, will there be some variation of this? You know, for example, right, will they pull back, retest the high, right, and then will we get the 1, 2 crown? You know what I mean? There could be some variations of this, like I mentioned earlier. And of course, tomorrow morning, we're going to navigate this stuff tomorrow in our trade room. But the pattern itself, though, is pretty similar across the board here. Let's keep going, right? The S&P and the SPY, pretty straightforward game plan. I do want to talk about buying this thing. Let's look at the Nasdaq here right now. The Nasdaq is very similar here to the S&P. It's almost the exact same situation with some small differences here. On the 60-minute chart in the Nasdaq, same thing. It's a very strong run down. Anytime we see a strong move like this, we're expecting a pullback and a retest of that low. So we know exactly where the market wants to go, and we are running into some very convenient areas here to think, okay, at this point now, the bears have got this nice deep pullback. This is probably a great spot for those bears to re-enter the market. I love how it's a range and a breakout pullback. If you've watched my previous videos, we talk a lot about range breakout pullbacks. This seems to be a great location right now for the bears to come roaring back into this. And if they don't, right, if the buyers are able to hold this, this could change a lot. But, you know, I don't have a crystal ball. So I'll have to wait and see if these buyers can actually hold this up here and keep this reversal, keep this going into a reversal. Right now, though, we are still pretty bearish. Back to our tick chart, though. Remember, the tick chart, in this example, very similar to the S&P. We have conflicting signals. We have a very clear and very obvious bull market today on the Nasdaq. Definitely don't have as much ranging on this Nasdaq as we had on the S&P, but you'll notice though that one leg up, 2 leg up, we're running into quite a bit of overhead resistance. Now, just because I'm running into resistance in a bull market does not mean I can sell this. But when we have a 60-minute chart that looks like this, right? When the 60-minute chart looks like that, and there's no doubt about the directional bias right now on that 60-minute, I can certainly start looking for ways to short this. Now, again, like on the S&P, we have a lot of momentum for the buyers right now. Anytime we see a strong move higher like this, we have to anticipate what? A pullback and a retest of that high. So in order for us right now to be able to short this, we're going to need to ultimately trap in these buyers, because think about it, momentum is so strong, trying to pick this top isn't going to be the easiest thing on our list here this week. Much easier once those buyers commit a couple times, and then we start looking for those bull traps for that short back down again. One thing I didn't mention before on the S&P is the stronger the move that we are trying to reverse, the bigger and more obvious that crown reversal or that bull trap needs to be. So, for example, we have a pretty strong, pretty obvious bull trend going on right now in the short term on the Nasdaq. A very tiny crown reversal is not going to be our best choice of entries. We'd like to get this thing to pull back. Give me 1 try, pull back, 2 tries. Make it obvious, because as you guys probably have learned before, the self-fulfilling prophecy says the more people can see it, the more they'll trade it. And again, the bigger, the stronger the momentum that I'm trying to reverse, and this is pretty strong right now, I need to see really 2 pretty obvious tries here. And again, we talked about some variations on the previous lesson. Now let's talk about how can we buy this, right? How do we buy it? We talked earlier on the S&P about pulling back. And then because we knew we had the sellers were our concern, right? We're worried right now the bears are going to try to whack this thing back down again. Because those bears are there and we need to respect them at this point, we have to trap them in and focus on buying as low as we possibly can, right? Because what? Because as we go higher, who's waiting up top here? Yeah, more bears, right? That is the name of the game. And that is literally verbatim the exact same pattern setup I'll be looking for down here, and also too on the S&P as well. Okay, on the S&P as well, here, let me grab the S&P chart. Same thing. On the S&P I've got that 85, the 80 half level. These levels, of course, down here, I'm kind of marking up the amount above, the amount below, right? Looking at these areas, really anywhere below that trading range will be a good spot for reversal going long here. I want to talk about two variations of it, though. The easy one is this. We pull back, right? The bears come in, right? They try once, take it going lower, try twice, take it going lower. Now we know where their stops are, right? And now we can use that, right, that crown reversal entry I mentioned earlier to buy it back up again. Let's say though, we end up running all the way back down again. Could easily happen, right? Because again, look at the 60-minute chart. It's so bearish right now. If we run all the way back into these, really what are great places for targets for the short, right? If we can get our hands on a short off this high, these levels down here make for excellent targets as we go lower. If we end up in this area, though, is this a good place to be shorting this? Of course it's not. We're not going to short low. We're not going to sell low. We're not going to sell into support. Now, we're pretty bearish overall, so I just can't buy into this area, not with a lot of confidence. What I'd rather do there is again, anticipating those bears are going to be pretty strong here tomorrow, right? One try for the bears, two try for the bears, right? And try to trap those bears in for that run going higher. Now, a lot of times when you get these deep pullbacks like this, what happens is the stops get run and this thing just punches and runs higher. So keep an eye as we go higher, looking for that bear trap as we try to make our way back up to retest the high. As you can see, there's a lot of traps on my radar for tomorrow, and that's because of the conflicting signals that we have right now between short-term and long-term momentum direction. So nothing new here. A crown reversal, higher high in price, a trap low, and again, there could be some variations of that, but that's the general idea of the pattern setup. If we start to really get this thing now to turn and run back up, because after all, strong move like this will want to retest those highs. If we do see that strong run higher, again, we have to have the mindset, if we're going to be a buyer right now, we must be buying as low as we possibly can, because again, we're overall bearish. And how do you buy as low as you can? Use trap patterns, right? Traps are always going to be the pattern we use in our trade room to buy as low as we possibly can. Remember, in this pattern, remember how it goes? Strong move, shallow pullback, higher high in price, traps, right? Strong move, shallow pullback, higher high in price, and that trap setup will be your entry signal. Remember, closing above that 21 moving average. And the target's easy in this one, right? Target is back up to retest the high. Do you think at that point, could I then go out and go 1, 2, crown reversal? Hell yeah, absolutely, right? A double top reversal off the high would be a beauty, especially in an overall bear market. Another variation you want to be aware of would be if we were to run lower, strong move down, the bears come in, they retest the low. If they can get a retest of that low now we can be a lot more aggressive on this, right? Think about that. If we see a strong move down like this overnight, tomorrow morning, after a crown reversal, with or without it really, if we see a strong move going lower, what's the goal? The goal is to short that pullback, right, and retest that low. Not my favorite trade for tomorrow, but that's the objective, right? So professionals will come in, they'll try to sell high. Where would their target be? Their target would be right down at that low. So once those professionals, once the big lot sellers are taking their profit, now if we can get the bears coming in and roping some rookies down here. Now we're not going to need a crown reversal on this one, because this point now, double bottom, bears come in once, bears come in twice. We are still bearish in the short term though, so I do want to use the 2-try failure pattern like you guys are learning in the free trading course, because I do need to use their stops as fuel. Right? If I'm trying to be a buyer in an overall bear market, I need to be patient to really, in this case, to give the sellers the benefit of the doubt, let them try a couple times, and then use their exits to fuel this reversal going higher. It's one of those scenarios where one of my first mentors would always say, in these scenarios, everyone's a buyer, right? Everyone's a buyer because you've got buyers who are buying low. You've got profit taking from the sellers who sold high. And then when the bears get stopped out, they become buyers. Everyone's a buyer in this scenario. Very likely scenario, right, for a jump going higher. And again, as I mentioned earlier, if it does tend to rip and run higher like this, be looking for those bear traps, strong move, shallow pullback, higher high in price, right? Remember, that's the key to finding those traps. Strong move, shallow pullback, higher high in price, traps, baby, right? Always, right? Always looking for those traps, those prior swings. Target, of course, is back up to retest the high. So I like the idea of those reversals off these levels below us on the Nasdaq. Channel low, swing low, swing low. Same thing applies here on the S&P as well. All right, guys? So now you know my game plan here for tomorrow. The only other variable that we don't quite know yet is if we start going into a trading range. Okay, if we start going to a trading range, this becomes a lot more bullish than it is right now. That'll be a lesson, though, for tomorrow morning in our morning trade room. If we do go sideways here overnight, remember, as you guys are learning in the free trading course, ranges act like magnets. And so that really opens up a lot more variations of this game plan here for tomorrow. We'll cover that tomorrow morning, though, in our morning trade room. And at this point, I think the game plan is pretty straightforward here. I'm sure the markets will throw some curveballs ball at us tomorrow. It's the end of August, last few weeks of the summertime season. It'll be a bit lower volume. It'll be inconsistent, but that's exactly what we have our trade room every morning at 8 o'clock Eastern time. We're going to put the game plan together tonight, and tomorrow we'll trade this stuff together at 8 o'clock Eastern time with all the members. Don't forget, I'll put all the important links here we talked about tonight. The free video class links, the membership links, the trade room links. I'll put all that important stuff down the description of the YouTube video. If you have questions or if you need help getting into the free trading classes, don't be afraid to call the office or use live chat. We're always here to help out if you need help along the way. All right, guys, as I mentioned earlier, it is great to be back here with you guys here in the video here this evening. I missed you guys last week. I am not somebody who takes time off very easily, but it was a very productive week last week. I did a huge update to our video classes for our members here at School of Trade. Members are loving the new video course update. So it was time well spent in the afternoons last week. Nonetheless, though, hope you learned a bunch in this video. Hope you use this knowledge to make a bunch tomorrow. Hopefully, I'll see you tomorrow morning or sometime soon in the morning trade room. If not, we're coming back tomorrow night. We're going to do it all again and get ready for Wednesday, ahead of those big NVIDIA earnings on Wednesday evening. Guys, my name is Joseph. Thanks for watching. Be well out there. Be nice to each other, will ya? And you better be here next time. Adios, amigos. Bye-bye for now.